Number also does not include those who left the country as tourists to be employed elsewhere and given their certificate from other countries. So that's why you have varying figures. If you recall, Secretary Baldos yesterday said 300,000, but actually, if you look at the POA records, it's 380. Figures also show that 1 out of 5 ocean-going seafarers in the world is a Filipino, while 3 in 10 international ships employ Filipino seafarers. These figures back up the claim that Filipinos are breaking down racial boundaries and identity issues with their innate ability to excel as world-class seafarers. Well, let's now go to the individual seafarer. What motivates our youth or our citizens to become seafarers? The reasons are shown there. I think that's self-explanatory. The other 5%, I guess, is something like getting away from his girlfriend or but again, this is part of a survey that was made, and I guess all of you will agree with me that it is there. I'm just a little cautious about personal ambition. Everybody says that I want to go to sea because I love the sea. You know, that's something that was drilled upon all those students and cadets who will be interviewed by manning agents and shipping companies. They will not say that they are there for the money. They will say that they are there because they love the sea. So the 46% is rather high, if you will ask my personal opinion. So let's now go to the profile of the Filipino seafarer. There. Again, using the same survey, Filipino seafarers come from large families. They're composed of 8 persons on the average. That means 6 children and 2 parents, 1 mother and 1 father, of course. Most of them are married. Those with 2 children constitute 30%. Those with 3 children are 25% of the sample. Seafarers support an average of 5 dependents, including their own parents, their brothers, sisters, their children. 50% support 3 to 5 dependents, while 1/3 of all those surveyed support 6 or more dependents. The successful placement of Filipino marine officers and professionals aboard international ships continue to offer lucrative employment for thousands of Filipinos. Aside from providing for their families, this employment has significantly contributed to the economic growth of the country. Data from the Bangko Sentral of the Philippines, ng Pilipinas, shows that during the first 4 months of 2011, the seafarers have already remitted $1.3 billion in remittances, and this is 6% higher than the amount remitted during the same period in 2010. Furthermore, remittances from Filipino seafarers in 2010 have reached $3.8 billion, that's for the whole year, accounting for 20% of the total remittances from all overseas foreign workers for the year. Undoubtedly, Filipino seafarers have become a vital component of the country's OFW economy. I think you will understand that these figures are accurate because seafarers are required to allot 80% of their pay, of their basic pay, through the banking system. As opposed to over 2 million of our countrymen working in Saudi Arabia, in the Middle East, they also contribute 2 billion, but there's 2 million of them. And we have only 300,000 seafarers, and we contribute almost the same amount. This is really an appreciation of all the efforts of our leaders who in the past, back in the 70s, put up the National Seaman's Board, and that includes Secretary Blas Ogle and of course Captain Greg Opa. They were the ones who started this system, and this system has grown and has become effective in ensuring that whatever efforts our seafarers make, they are reflected in the records of the country's economic development. So in the previous slides, I have presented a representative view of the Filipino seafarer and the manning industry as a whole. Allow me now to direct your attention to the importance of maritime education and training, since that was the topic given to me. I'm sure that all of you know the many problems and challenges of maritime education and training, and we have taken this up in almost all conferences every year, and it's still the same. So, maritime education and training, or MET, cannot be understated, particularly with the current global market supply and demand scenario and the changes in the STCW, or the Standard for Training, Certification, and Watchkeeping Convention and Code. If you recall, we had the 2010 diplomatic conference here in Manila, and there were many amendments to that code, and they are now called the 2010 Manila Amendments. These two issues, namely the recurrent shortages of maritime personnel in the world fleet and the adoption and implementation of global standards of training and certification for seafarers, are one of the challenges in maritime education and training. Hence, the immediate task facing maritime training institutions is two-pronged. First is to produce highly qualified maritime professionals and to implement and enforce the standards of maritime excellence embodied in the Manila Amendments. These interrelated issues are of great importance not only to maritime education and training institutions, but to the seafarers and their families as well. Let me show you some figures on the number of schools that we have. As of September 2010, there were 95 accredited maritime institutions. These are colleges. These maritime schools must follow IMO model courses. They are the only ones allowed by the government to conduct and administer baccalaureate courses with 3 years of academics and 1 year of supervised shipboard apprenticeship or for deck and engine officers. In 1999, when we were facing the whitelist with over 130 schools, and that was effectively reduced to about 70. As you will see, in 2010, the schools are creeping up again. I guess that's because of the demand for more and more of our citizens and our students and our young men and women to become seafarers. Most maritime schools also offer short-term upgrading courses alongside the regular degree programs. But aside from the accredited universities and colleges, there are about 84 maritime training centers accredited by the Maritime Training Council. These are the training centers that provide 1 week or 2 week upgrading courses. The numbers also include those training centers owned by shipping companies and manning agencies that cater only to their own employees. And so because of this, the International Maritime Organization lists the Philippines as having the world's largest number of maritime education and training institutions at 159. Clearly, the main challenge for all institutions belonging to the maritime education sector is not only to produce the desired quantity of graduates, but rather improve the quality of its graduates. Such revisions in the STCW Convention and Code necessitates that maritime education and training institutions ensure that essential global standards are in place to train, to assess, and to certify seafarers to operate technically advanced ships in the very near future. As you all know, we still lack qualified instructors, we still lack the necessary equipment, and of course, the biggest problem is that we cannot put all our students